folks, welcome back to Good Enough Customs. So I guess this is going to be a little different episode than usual. Usually they come out on Mondays. This one's going to come out sometime sooner. So I know tonight, it's a weeknight. I usually don't have a whole lot of time during the week to do stuff. At least right now I don't. So tonight I'm going to get in here and we're going to go ahead and get this mini spool installed, and then probably go ahead and start tackling on the fuel pump and see if we can't get that guy installed and get it replumbed. Maybe even get into the rewiring part of it tonight. Just trying to get some things wrapped up because I want to try and get Steve done this weekend if I possibly can. So, yeah, I guess I'll do it. Let's get to work. Well, alrighty, folks. So first step, we gotta get the diff cover off, drain out the rear end. Like I said, I've actually never been in this rear end, so I don't know what I'm going to get into here. I would assume everything is good because I've never had any problems out of it. And when you're pulling one of these diff covers off, you always want to leave, you know, one or two up here at the top, you know, in, so that way you can pop the thing. You don't have to fight with trying to, you know, wrestle this guy around. So it just pop open, it can drain out. And then once it's drained out pretty good, then you can take the last little bolt out. That gear oil actually looks really good. So in case you've never been inside a diff before, so this is what you got. You got your ring gear, you got your pinion, which is all the way at the front. These are your spider gears. A lot of guys will do, especially in the four-wheel drive world, they'll do what's called the Lincoln locker, which basically you get in here, you clean the hell out of all this stuff with some brake clean, and then you weld the spider gears together to where they're basically, it turns it into a locker. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be pulling the spider gears out. And once we get all the spider gears out, then I've actually got, you know, the pieces for the mini spool that go in. I got a piece for each side, one for this side, one for this side, that the axles lock into. And then there's a block that fits on either side where these other smaller spider gears are, that comes in that locks it all together. And then of course the pin, which is right here. Can't really see it, and I forgot to put the truck in neutral, so I can't turn it right now. But you drop this pin out, and then that lets you slide the axles in, pull the clips, and then slide the axles out of the way. I guess I'm gonna go put this thing in neutral so I can move it around and do stuff, and then we'll get started taking this thing apart. All right, so I got her in neutral now. So you can see, here's the pin I was just talking about. And it's held in with this little bolt. And that little pin is what keeps the axles from coming in and dropping the C-clips off. So we're going to pull that. And then we're going to slide the pin out. And so that's all it is, just a big hunk of metal with a hole in the end of it, a couple flat spots. And now that that's out, we can take and push our axles in. Let's see if I can't rotate this guy down a little bit so you can see a little bit better. There we go. So now we're going to push the axle in. This is the end of the axle. And the C-clip just fell. Oh, and there's the C-clip. And then we can push the axle out. Push this side. And pull that C-clip out. And Now we can rotate that around, pull out spider gear. The other spider gear, I think, just fell. There it is. And then these guys should just pull in towards the center, and then they come right out. Sorry, folks. So to replace the side gears, which I guess that's what they're called, we got these guys. Big old hefty units. And then what you'll do is it goes in, and then you got to put the C-clip in, and it locks in the axle and sits in this little thing. Problem that you run into is you can't slide this guy in, and you can't usually push that axle in far enough to be able to push this in like this and then seat it all the way. So this is going to have to get ground down on the sides, so it's got a little bit more clearance. But we can go ahead and put these in for now. This side is like really tight. And I don't get it. There. What is your deal, man? Jeez. Just go to your home. All right, so you can see I've got these guys pushed in as far as they can go. They won't go a bit further. And I am not gonna be able to get these C-clips on, it doesn't look like. I was hoping to not have to grind these guys down, but it looks like I'm gonna have to clearance them just a little bit to get them to slide in there. Yep. So I'm gonna shave these edges down right here and slide these C-clips in, and then we'll put her all back together. All right, got them all ground down. A little thinner profile, should slide right on in now. There's one. And there's two. All right, so now I gotta rotate this guy back around to get that. Okay. And let's just do this. Okay. Now, let's get there. And now we have our axles locked together, and we can slide our pin in and lock it down. Now we can slide our pin on in. Trying to keep her lined up. Nope, there we go. There. Now let's turn that a little bit so I can actually get access. There we go. I'm sure there's a torque spec on this, but I don't know what it is. Now would be a good time to have this thing in park. Yeah, I'm about to go put it in park. Good and snug. Next thing to do is clean the surface up. The gasket on this guy, apparently whoever had this truck before had actually recently serviced the rear end. So it's got a good gasket on it. There ain't nothing wrong with it, so I'm just going to reuse it. And we'll be good to go. And get her set on there and get a bolt in. All right, so I got all this put back together, and only thing left is to fill the differential up, but of course I forgot to pick up some gear oil for it, so I'll have to run out and get that here in just a minute. I know usually when I take stuff apart, I like to clean it and paint it and make it look nice. You know, kind of on a short time frame here, so I'm not worried about this. So I'm not going to worry about doing this tonight. Maybe one day I'll get back under here and I'll scuff this guy up and, you know, put some paint on it. Clean up this axle shaft a little bit, you know, get this axle housing, I guess I should say. Clean up this axle housing and give it a good shot and make sure everything's good there. But, so for all intents and purposes, this is done. In case you didn't know, on a 12 bolt, you have over here somewhere, I can't remember where, and I can't see, so up here on the front there is a drain plug, a little pipe fitting. You pull that out, fill it up till it starts running out, and then, you know, you're full. So I'm gonna go get some gear oil and go ahead and top this guy off, and then I'm gonna see about tackling that that fuel pump. All right, folks, so this is your drain or your fill plug for these 12 volts. And usually you can get the ratchet to seat in there. I can't get this one. That's all right. All right. Okie dokie. So there's your drain plug for, or your fill plug, I guess I should say, for the 12 bolt. So one thing you can do under here, or whenever you're filling these guys up, because let's face it, trying to get that into a position where, you know, you can get it in there and empty it out, it's almost impossible. So what I always do, and I'm going to use a little leftover that I had, I always take and end up putting a hose on the end of it, just a scrap piece of hose I got laying around, because, you know, I got hose in different area codes, but not those kind of hose. I just have hose as in H-O-S-E. And once you get it in a position, somehow, there we go. Now, I can get around my exhaust and stuff and start squeezing her in there. Oh, there we go. That will do it. Oop. Come on, stand up. All right, rear end is done. All right, so I got the rear end all back together. One last thing to address. I'm not a big fan of all this rust on the hub. So when I went to pull the wheels off of this truck, the wheels were stuck on this lip because of the rust. And then also the brake drum was a little stuck to it as well. So I'm just gonna give this a quick little run over with the wire brush, shoot it with some paint, and should be good to go. All right, so now I'm just gonna let that dry up, then I'll put the drum on. We're gonna let that dry up, and also give the brake drum a quick little shot around the rim there where the hub sits. So we're gonna let that dry up real good, and then I'll slap this brake drum back on, and that guy will be ready to go. Then we can put the wheels and tires back on, but first, oh, a little something special. So you know, if y'all guys, I don't know if y'all have even paid attention or noticed, but I've been running the stock 15s on this truck pretty much since I dropped it and did all the fun stuff to it with the suspension. And I've always wanted to upgrade wheels. I never could quite find the wheels that I wanted, though. I was constantly just struggling. Like, okay, I kind of want these. I kind of want these. I couldn't make up my mind. I didn't want to go up to 22s because not enough sidewall. There's too many guys I see that are running 22s on the truck. They'll hit a big ass pothole and then they got a bent rim. And no, I don't want all that. This past year, freaking wheel and tires have skyrocketed. It is insane. I think 2 years ago I was looking at a wheel tire combo with the US. It was US Mag Ramblers. I'm almost positive that's what they were. It was like $1,400. Wheels and tires, 20. I think they're 28 and a half. I think it would have gone up to 1,600 maybe for a staggered set. So I do like 8.5 up front, 10-inch out back. And that's kind of where I was at. I was like, well, $1,600, man. That's, I have a hard time spending that kind of money on just wheels and tires because I'm like, I usually buy, whole vehicles for $1,600. So, it's just like, that's a hard pill to swallow. So I kept, hemming and hawing and putting it off. But anyway, so now those same wheels and tires are like $2,300. Ain't no way in hell I'm paying that kind of money for a wheel and tire setup. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just back it off a little bit and maybe go with some 17s. They'll be a little cheaper. And they're a little cheaper, but not by much. And again, it's more than I'm wanting to spend. So I started thinking, I was like, all right, well, Steve was painted in the 90s. I don't know what year exactly, but it was sometime in the 90s. That's what the second owner told me. It was painted shortly before he got the truck. And of course, they color matched the bumpers and all that. It's a real 90s thing. So I was like, what'd be really cool is get some 90s wheels on this thing. And I'm not talking about like 90s, just trash, ugly wheels or anything. At first I was like, okay, maybe some 454 Super Sport wheels. Those are kind of cool. Sticking with the 15s, which would mean, I didn't have to buy new tires, which that's cool. And then I was like, well, maybe I can find some Boyds. Boyds would be cool. Some cool American Racing. What was the other one? Progressive wheels? Something like that. I can't remember. The 90s was a little while ago. For y'all around my age, that was 30 years ago. What the hell? So, it blows my mind. But anyways, so I started hunting on Facebook, typical places, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, although you really don't find much on there anymore. Just checking out everywhere I could. I mean, I was even on eBay hunting up, for some 15x8, 5-on-5 lug, or 5x127 if you're a metric fella. But I kept striking out. I'd find some that were pretty cool. But again, those, $1,100-$1,200 for a set of, wheels. And I was just like, I can't. So the other day I get on Facebook and I was like, I hadn't hunted for wheels in a while. I kind of just, all right, I guess I'm just running factories until I decide to just bite the bullet and buy some nicer wheels. And so I was like, I haven't looked in, probably 2 or 3 weeks. Let me pop on there and look. And this guy had just listed a set of 15x8 Boyd Coddington wheels. And now they video much better than they are in person. They're pretty shiny here in the video. He said his son started polishing on them a little bit. The edges are really, really good and shiny. The centers are really faded and kind of oxidized. So centers really need to be polished up really good. Same thing with the edges. I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. I started working on this one last night, just kind of messing around, and I started bringing the side out pretty good. Just barely touched on the center, and it started coming out okay. And then this one hasn't been touched at all, so you can see it's just really faded, really oxidized. So I picked up that whole set for $500 score, and started polishing on them. And trying to make them look like something. So I still got I got all the center caps, and I mean, they're coming out okay. This one, I think this is the one that his son polished. This one I started on last night, and it's coming out real nice. I had to order some little buffing pads because trying to do this part by hand, that right there is tough. So I just ordered some little buffing pads. They should be here tomorrow, to where I can get in there and start polishing these center caps on out and getting those done. And then also getting on into the to the face of the wheel, you know, get into the centers of the wheel. So I'm gonna polish those guys up and get those put on Steve, and you know, hopefully I get all that done prior to power tour, because it'd be nice to just take the wheels and tires that I currently have with those wheels over to in my area. We don't really have a tire shop, so I'll have to take it over to the co-op. I say I live in the country, but I'll have to take it over to the co-op and get them swap the wheels and tires, and, you know, mount and balance them on the Boyds. But I'm super stoked about it. I took one and set it on the front hub last night just to see what it looked like, and it's very nice. So yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that, in case you couldn't tell. Well, all right, folks, that's going to wrap this one up. You know, I said I was going to try and get to the fuel pump tonight, and it's just not going to work out that way. Being that I forgot to get gear oil for the rear end, you know, I had to run out and get that real quick, or else I'd probably forget, and that would not end well. So I ran out and got some gear oil, and while I was out, I was like, you know what? I haven't had dinner. So went ahead, stopped to grab me a burger, and well, now I got a full belly, and I just kind of want to go inside and sit and watch some TV and just kind of chill for just a little bit. So that's what I'm going to go do. So I'll be back out here tomorrow night, and that's when I'll get onto this fuel pump. Don't worry, I'm going to record it. We're cool. So I'll get on that tomorrow night and get that all done up tomorrow. Get that fuel pump swapped out, replumbed, and rewired. And then that'll lead us right on into the weekend, where I can get on the interior, try to get some of these creature comforts squared up. So I really hope y'all guys enjoyed this little short, version of an episode. But all we did was put in this little mini spool. I think it took like 45 minutes. It's not real hard. Definitely not rocket surgery. So I hope y'all guys enjoyed that. And so since it is Memorial Day weekend, I hope everybody has a good weekend, a safe weekend. And while you're out there doing your grilling, hanging out with friends, going to the swim pool, doing whatever you're doing, hopefully you just take a moment and just think about the men and women that have given the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms, and have yourself a safe Memorial Day. So anyways, with that, I'll actually see y'all on Monday, because I'll still upload my normal one on Monday. And till then, I guess just remember, it ain't got to be perfect, just good enough. Well, I'll catch y'all later.